Hi. So this is my favorite experiment in psychology. You put a child into a room and you offer her a marshmallow. And the moment the girl is going to dig in, you tell her, stop, here's the deal. You can either eat this marshmallow now or you can wait till I'm back to get two. Here you can see pictures of children willing themselves not to touch, not to even look at the marshmallow, with more or less success. This is my version of that situation. My vice are chocolate bars rather than marshmallows, but the rest remains the same. So you offer me a bar now or two tomorrow, I have a hard time to resist now. At the heart of this is what's called temporal discounting due to the uncertainty of the future. Will I be able to collect these 2 bars tomorrow? Will you still give them to me? Will I like chocolate? I mean, there's some truth in the saying that a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. The fact that uncertainty is at the heart of this can be easily demonstrated by changing the situation a little bit. Now it's 1 bar next Monday and 2 bars next Tuesday, and the choice is easy. I'll take the 2. No problem here. By the way, pigeons do exactly the same. Pigeons prefer larger, later rewards to sooner, smaller rewards if both are in the future. But the moment the sooner, smaller reward comes close to now, they reverse their preference. Exactly what I do with chocolate bars. Now in the real world, it's very rarely about 1 bar versus 2. It's much more complicated. It's about chocolate versus, for example, your future health. While future health is certainly something desirable, it's also very, very vague, abstract, very uncertain. And it even gets more complicated if it's about chocolate versus avoiding future waste, because now even other people play a role. And while all this is very complicated, it also already touches at the important topics we normally have when we talk about persuasion. We all want to eat less, do more sport, go out more often with our friends, save energy, save water, you name it. We all want to do that. And this is normally the target of persuasion. The problem with persuasion is that it's mostly about arguments. So let me give you an example. Let's say I want you to save some energy. So the first thing you're going to do is to ask me, why? Why should I do that? So I will line up some good arguments, stop global warming, think of future generations and stuff like that, and eventually you're convinced. So the next question will be, but I personally, do I waste that much energy? So I give you feedback on your energy consumption. Oh, what a shock. And now you really want to do something about it. So you ask me about strategies, and I just tell you the obvious. Switch off the light a little bit more often and avoid standby. And now you're persuaded. But the problem just starts now, because now you have this problem of switching off the light and avoiding standby each and every day, over and over again. Something that was basically persuasion now turned into a self-regulation problem. And the technologies and the ideas we have, they don't treat that much. They don't address this problem properly. What could we do? What could we possibly do? And I'm working in industrial design, so I personally believe in the power of objects to shape our behavior through its interaction. This is Sella. And Castiglione said about it, he designed it for using at a payphone. And he said when he's at the phone, he wants to do something in between sitting and pacing. So he invented this stool and invented also a new behavior. We don't know all his intentions, but it's easy to see that this could also be a self-regulation tool. Namely, through its slight inconvenience, it helps you to spend not too much time and not too much money at the phone. So it becomes a tool for self-control, maybe. Now we already have technologies. You heard already about persuasive technologies, gamification, and so on. But the models behind that are very simple. They are either based on giving feedback and information, or they employ very, very simple models of conditioning behavior. But while we might have the same time discounting mechanisms like pigeons have, I would say humans are a bit more complicated. And they know about the world, they have insight, and they cannot be forced into motivation machines. They need something else. They need something to help them, objects that help them to transform, to trick them into behavior. Now, I'm in design, so the good thing is designers could possibly do that, but they can't. Unfortunately, they socialized in a culture of making things convenient and simple. But with an aesthetic of convenience, you will never instill change. What you actually need is rather an aesthetic of friction. You have to instill friction. And I'd like to show you 4 projects from our lab to give you a first idea how this aesthetic of friction looks like and what might be important. The first thing I'm going to show is Forget Me Not. It's a reading lamp. You switch it on by touching one of its petals. But now, over the next 30 minutes, it slowly closes down again and dims the light. So when you need an extra light, you need to ask Forget Me Not again, and again, and again, and again. It makes a clear statement, light is not endless, and you have to politely ask about it if you want it. The next object is a real temptress. It's the chocolate machine. The chocolate machine has this habit to throw chocolate bars onto your desk, and you can put it back. And every time you put it back, you resist. It's an act of willpower. You could also fail. The chocolate machine is based on a theory called ego depletion. And ego depletion assumes that you can train your willpower, just like a muscle. So with each single small act of resistance, you're gaining more strength. And the chocolate machine is just, in a way, a training machine for your willpower. And it's also fun if you use it. The third object is Do Panic. So Do Panic is about desktops, and it now and then suggests that you should tidy up your desktop a bit. It just displays a visual aid to prompt you in rearranging the stuff that is on your desk. And people take that up very, very nicely. You display something on you project something on the desktop, and they take whatever they need. Done. Yeah. But sometimes we all know that when it's about self-control, we don't have the strength. We can't gather ourselves, the energy, and then you press the panic button. And you have some relief from the mess for a while. Not too long, but you can have your break without tidying up. The last object is the brooch. The brooch records 30 seconds of low-resolution video and audio when you chink glasses. You know what you do when you have a toast. And if it doesn't record these social moments for a while, it starts to play the last back, to remind you of what is really important in life and to go out and meet your friends. So these are 4 objects I'd like to show you, and I'd like to develop this aesthetic of friction along these 4 objects. All 4 create particular situations for action, but they do so in a very particular way. First of all, and that is important, they take on a position. So the forget-me-not clearly says that my natural state is closed, and if you want to have light, you need to ask me about it, and you have to do it over and over again. The chocolate machine places some value on self-control and learning self-control. Do panic places some value on order, and the Prouge places some value on meeting your friends and being social. So they all take on a position. They're not neutral. They are no monitoring devices. No. They are rather comments on your behavior, comments on what you are doing. They also cause trouble. I think it's a bit inconvenient that forget-me-not closes itself all the time and you have to ask for light over and over again. But that's how they are, you know? They want to make trouble. They don't want to help you. They are not convenient. They don't do things for you. They rather create a bit of trouble so that they prompt you in doing it on your own. Troublemakers are good, but you need to design lovable, playful troublemakers. So the next is a very important principle. These objects are naive. They are a little bit absurd. They're clearly inferior. They're not intelligent in any way. But through this, they also playfully mock the much more capable user. For me, they seem to say, like, look, I'm a simple machine, yeah? And I know what's good for you. Why don't you just do it? And most importantly, I think, they are also understanding. All these objects acknowledge that you can fail. It's not about self-control 100%. There's always the possibility of failure, and once indulged, it's not a pattern yet. Do panic even has a designed exit route? You know, if you can't gather the strength to tidy up, you just hit the panic button, and you have some relief at least for a while. I think this is a first sketch of what an aesthetic of friction could be, and we need this kind of objects to understand how to design for change. So let me summarize. If we talk about change and persuasion, from my point of view, it's much too much about arguments and words. We should consider behavior more. Objects are very, very good in shaping behavior, but we have a problem here because contemporary design is not fit, is not used to make things troublesome. We're used to make things convenient. We're used to meet the needs of our clients, whatever they want, and whether it is good for them or not. But what we actually need to instill change is friction, good friction, and we need to develop an aesthetic of friction, and we need to experiment with these objects to understand what it is about. And finally, I think all this reminds us that leading the good life is not about short-lived immediate pleasures, and we heard that a lot already. It is about doing the right thing in the long run. And these objects hopefully will help you along. Thank you very much.